Hello, niece and nephew. This is not Uncle Roger. But the other day, one of my nephews say I look like Uncle Roger in my other channel. So maybe it's a good idea to use Uncle Roger tone to try out a unboxing of my new Sony lens. This is the 11mm 1.8 lens and do a review on my new Sony ZV-e10 camera and compare to my other two lenses. This is the Sigma 16mm F1.4 and the Sony 10-18 F4. This is a very old lens. So let's do some unboxing. And by the way, I like Sony because they have this orange box match so well with Uncle Roger's shirt. So this lens comes in this standard favorite orange box. You open the box and see, hiya, so many paper. No one even read this paper. What a waste. We should protect the environment. And then you have this lens wrapped in a good bubble. I think my nephew would like to pop these. And then you have a lens hood. The lens is very small and it feels very good, very light. It is made of metal, I think. It also have a button for switching autofocus and manual focus and a manual focus ring. This lens have a thread of 55mm. So remember that when you are thinking to buy different filters. And let's compare to the other lens 10-18mm old lens from Sony. This lens have optical steady shot, but the new lens doesn't have any optical steady shot. So if your camera have IBIS, maybe that's better. And then you look at the height difference. It is even smaller. When you put the Sigma 16mm next to it, it is like brother and big brother and small brother. Let's try it out and see the quality of this new lens. Hello niece and nephew. Right now you are seeing the footage that is shoot from my ZV-e10 and my new Sony 11mm F1.8. You can see the angle is very wide. You can also see my messiness behind me. I am surprised it can even capture some of my ceiling in my office. You can see my eye is focusing. It's working very well, even on my small Asian eye. And this is right now in f1.8. The bokeh looks pretty good. Right now the ISO is on auto, so it is ISO 125. My room is not very light. I only have some window lights here. Now let's switch to another lens and compare the difference. This is the different lens. Right now I am using the very old 10-18mm f4 Sony lens. You can see because it is at f4, the ISO actually is at 640 and there's maybe some noise. And you can also see that even at the same 11mm, the room doesn't look as roomy. I know my room is small anyway. The eye focus also still work very well. I think this is because they are all Sony lens, even though they are older, but on a new body, they work still very well. Now let's switch to the Sigma lens. Right now this is the Sigma 16mm f1.4. You can see the f1.4 really bokeh'd a lot more than even 1.8. The eye focusing still works very well, and it has no trouble tracking my eyes at all. And also the room, again, because it is 16mm, it looks a lot smaller. But I really like my Sigma lens because that is my lens that I use to do my all other videos in my other channel. So if you like to learn more about science, check that out, that channel. Anyway, I like the color, and because it is at 1.4, the ISO is only at 100, and maybe it is also flashing, maybe it is overexposing. Anyway, for a studio setup, I think the Sigma lens is enough. You don't need to spend $550 to get this lens, and really provide very little extra. All you get is all the messiness behind you, unless you get a very clean office, not like Uncle, okay? Before we go out to have a vlogging test, let's do the last testing inside. Because we are using ZV-e10, it has product showcase mode. And let's show my bubble gum. It focuses very quickly. This is Sigma 16mm. And this is Sony 10-18 OSS. I don't think it works very well. Let's try it again. I don't think the product showcase works as well as the other. What do you think? Now let's try the new lens, Sony 11mm. I think this product showcase mode works very well. And for studio setup, you really don't want to use something that has only a f4, because I think the light is not very good, and you need to have your extra light, and extra light means extra money. And you know, Asian, we try to be saving money as much as possible. Okay, well, Uncle spend the money so that you don't need to spend the money. So I would not recommend using this f4 lens for studio setup. And if you want me to give you an answer, I think the Sigma 16mm for $300 some still works very well for studio. Now let's go outside and see what's the difference when you use these three lenses for vlogging. Hello niece and nephew. Now here we are outside. I am trying to do a vlogging. Right now I am sweating like crazy. Okay, well anyway, right now I am using the Sony 11mm, and you know this lens doesn't have any stabilization. And I also turn off active stabilization on the camera. And if as I walk along, you can see there's a little bit shakiness, maybe more than you would like. Anyway, you can see that the autofocus is still very good, and it's focusing on my eye. Right now, I just turned on the active steady shot. You can see the image is being cropped. But because the angle is so wide at 11mm, it's really not that bad. And you can see the effect. Now just a note to remember, niece and nephew, if you want to use the so-called Catlyst browse, you have to turn off active steady shot to use that. and let's try it. So this footage is supposed to be processed by Catlyst browse. What do you think? Right now I just switched to the OSS 10 to 18mm, but again I turn off this any type of stabilization and try to see how wobbly this is. I am at about 11mm. What do you think? This is with OSS turned on. And this is with active stabilization. Again, you see the crop factor. It makes my big face even bigger. But I think it is acceptable. Let's try the Sigma lens. Now it is with the Sigma 60mm. You can already see my big face, and the lens is so heavy. I don't think it is good to walk around with 16mm, especially on a small body. I mean not my body, I mean my camera body, ZV-e10. And my hand is all the way in the front. My arm will certainly get sore, and people think I would be weird. Let's turn on active stabilization. I am sure you don't want to see everything that is just my face. Too big, too big. No good, no good. Let's finishing up this video. Now I think this lens is very good. You can see that it can do very close-up shot, and also it has very wide angle. For about $550, it is a little bit expensive, but if you even want to use it for studio, it will also work. You only need to tidy up your room, better than my room. Alright, that's all for today, and I have all the links from Amazon listed below. If you decided to buy any of the gear that I use for today using that link, I can benefit a little bit from it, and I hope you like it. Oh, it's tired to pretend Uncle Roger. Give him applause. I'll see you next time. Bye.